Welcome to our second webinar session for new exhibitors. I'm so glad you could join us today. I am Rebecca Mercado. I'm the show director for the Buyer's Market of American Craft. And today we're going to talk about some quick, affordable ways, some of them free, to promote your presence in the show. We will not be talking about direct mail very much, postcards, for a couple reasons. One, we're about 4 weeks away from the show, and at this point, your postcards should already be produced and in the mail, or soon to be out in the mail. So I hope that you had a chance to read the article that we gave you a few weeks back about how to do that. If we have time at the end of the session, we can certainly address some of those if people want to do some last minute postcards. But I will refer you again to some of those tips for effective direct mail on our website at the end of the presentation. I'm going to try and keep it to 30 minutes, but I'm more than happy to stay afterwards for questions that you might have. Okay, let's get started. All right, so show promotion is a collaborative effort that takes place between the show promoter, which is the buyer's market, and the exhibitors. It is something that everyone needs to take part of. The worst thing you can do as a new exhibitor is to assume that just building it means they will come. You have to start your trade show before you even get there. If you are there and you're hoping that somebody will just stop by and there's enough traffic to just fall in love with your work and they're going to stop dead in their tracks and just buy right there, it's not going to work. It takes multiple impressions for someone to remember you, for it to click, and that may not happen in the split second that they pass by your booth. You want them, the buyers, to have you on their mind before they even get there, because the buyers shop numerous different ways, and most times their list is prepared before they get there. That doesn't mean they don't fall in love with something when they're there, but whether they commit to it that year is a different story. Sometimes somebody new, whether it's a new product or a new exhibitor, it might take a year, 6 months, maybe 2 years, if they, for them to really be able to work it into their budget or find room on their shelves. Industry studies will show that about 2/3 of attendees do some amount of pre-show research on who they want to purchase from, who their top new people they want to see is, and they also might plan appointments with their regular vendors that they want to reorder from or see what's new. And pre-show marketing is just as important for the mainstays of the show, the long-term exhibitors, as it is for new people. Every show you should be bringing 20 to 30% new work, so you always have something new to promote that brings people to your booth. All right, here's just a little quote that I think really defines what branding is. Branding is what sets you apart. It's what makes you stand out from the crowd. Our jewelry section is very large. It's very competitive. It can be tedious for buyers who are there specifically for jewelry to go through that whole section and see tiny detail-oriented things for hours on end, which is one reason we have the preview, so that it gives them a little bit more time. But there's infinite ways you can promote jewelry. You just need to make sure that you have that certain something that sets you apart. So what is good branding? Good branding, first and foremost, is authentic. It should be you. It should not be something canned or something you grabbed from somebody else's tagline that sounded glitzy or attention grabbing. You want to still be truthful to who you are, what your business is about, what you want to say. It should be consistent. Consistency is key. As we said, it takes multiple impressions for a buyer to have your brand or your product click in their mind. So this is a repeat thing. You want to make sure that the language you use, the images you use, the overall look and message of your business is consistent from before the show, at the show, and after the show. You can tie that in from your catalog to your booth display to your emails to your even your business card. Um, it should be familiar. And by familiar, I mean that it's something that speaks to your audience. If you make very high end work, if you make something that is several hundred to $1,000, your customer is going to be somebody that is more their customers might be more affluent, that retailer's customers. So you want to make sure that it matches the merchandise. If on the other hand you make something very whimsical, you want that to tie in. If your buyer is more likely to be female or over a certain age or under a certain age, or if you are tied to, if you're specifically after stores that have children's products or pet products, just think about what that audience is. Who is that person? And when you think about that audience, what do they care about? You want to tie in some innate emotion with that person. It's not about these factoids about that person. What in their heart do they care about? Um, and when you reach out to somebody on that level, it's a very like, subconscious kind of thing. It just connects with them and they remember it much more than uh, numbers or impressive stats. It should be innovative. We talked about that. That's something different. That's really hard to define, but it's just sort of, it when you see it. You ever have that feeling about certain brands that are just so pervasive in the market? We see them. There's that something about them that makes them so recognizable, so familiar, um, and really, try and analyze your own message, your own brand. What sets you apart? Here's that consistency we talked about. You The sort of axiom of marketing is that it takes about 7 times for your message to really hit home with people. You can spread that out along a different timeline, a span of time. You can use different ways, methods of making those impressions, but it should be about 5 to 7 from the time that you start promoting your presence to after the show. And we'll talk about that continuum in a few seconds. So here's just one example. You don't have to do it this way, but here's one example from a book called Building a Better Trade Show Image. Um, so she recommends 3 pre-promotion ads, and that could be a postcard, an ad in the show guide, or a trade publication that many of the attendees are viewing, uh, a web purchase, um, and then something that is in your booth. Maybe if you have a mini event that takes place in your booth, um, a raffle or a contest, or um, maybe you have some kind of interactive thing where people add their own thoughts or their pictures to a board, or some kind of attraction or event that takes place in your booth. You want some buzz or activity that brings people there. A giveaway item, these don't have to be very expensive. There's tons of catalogs out there that that have little, show swag kind of things. It could be pens with your brand on it. It can be um, notepads, USB, little USB flash drives. This is something more for a lot of other trade show exhibitors use these, and some of our exhibitors in our market might find them gimmicky, but people love free stuff. I mean, it's just a fact. So it, I'm surprised that more people in our show don't take advantage of it because it's always successful. Um, and as I said, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can shop around, and these might cost you a couple cents per item, up to a couple dollars per item. You might want different tiers of giveaways so that you have, for the really high value potential buyer, you have something, a little more pricier. And then, of course, follow up, which is essential. Must follow up. There's many different ways of pre-show marketing. Direct mail, we talked about, can be a brochure, a postcard, a catalog. Catalogs are also great to hold a little bit so that you have them later in the conversation with a buyer. It gives you an easy way to remind them later on, and they can be expensive to produce. So you want to make sure you hit them with the catalog at the right time. Email blasts, web ads, social media. We'll talk about social media quite a bit because it's free and it's something you can use at any time during your promotion. Phone calls can be intimidating to some people, but they are really useful. Buyers really take notice when you take the time to give them a call. It doesn't have to be, cold calls are a little scarier. If you prepare just a simple, 2-minute script and maybe like a little 10-second version if you're leaving a message, just a, hi, this is Sue. I'm exhibiting at the buyer's market. I would really love to see you. I have, a little note about what you make and what you're debuting at the show. And of course, don't forget to leave your booth number and the dates of the show and what show it is, obviously. And the thing that you want to practice this a couple times, try it with somebody else or leave yourself a voice message so that you know how you sound. Because if you talk too fast, people all the time will leave me messages where I have to stop 5-6 times and rewind it so I can get, especially the phone number. So you want to take your time with it, try it a little bit. It does get easier with practice. And of course, ones that you've already sent them something, if you've done that direct mail a couple weeks in advance, or you've sent them an email a couple days earlier, it becomes more of a warm lead. You can say, hi, I wanted to make sure that you got this piece that I sent you, and did you get a chance to look at this? It's a little easier to open into that conversation. Good times to call buyers. You don't want to do it on the weekend. You don't want to do it on Friday. Even Thursday might be, leading into their high traffic for the day. Early morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Monday if that store's open on Monday. Those are good times when they are working on just administrative things. It tends to be quieter. You can more easily get the decision maker of that business. Faxes, don't count out faxes. It sounds like an antiquated method of contact, but because a lot of people don't use faxes anymore for that reason, they think it's outdated, there's a lot less noise and wasted faxes going to those buyers. So we still use, in our show promotions, we still use faxes because they tend to get noticed. There's not that many on the machine, so ours stand out. And press coverage is a great free way of getting attention. And if you build a press kit, which is fairly easy to do. Um, you can send that out to a list of media contacts. And those are, it's no secret. You just have to do a little web research, or you can just go to the periodical section of your bookstore or your library and look at the masthead on the 5-6 pages into the magazine, and that usually the contact info is right there. You want to send those out probably 10 weeks ahead of the show, and then follow up with them about 4 weeks out. We do have a press booth, or I'm sorry, a press office at the show, and there is a table where you can put press kits. We recommend you bring about 10 or so, have a couple in your booth, and then put a couple on that press table. It's free to do, and all the media that are invited to our show will check in, get their badge at the press office, and look at those press kits. This is just an interesting stat that I found through Exhibitor Magazine. I'll show you guys Exhibitor Magazine real quick. It's a publication that we get here at the office, and one that we really like. It's not for everybody. It is more for the larger, more corporate type of exhibitors that professionally show at trade shows all year round. But they do a good job of also having content for smaller businesses. There's a section here somewhere, and we'll find it. So it breaks it down by all the different aspects of exhibiting: booth display, technology, travel, shipping, PR and media. But there is a section on small exhibits. Well, I can't find it at the moment, but it is there. And there's great ideas on how, even in a 10 by 10 booth, you can make a big impression in a show. And that is the power of pre-show marketing right there, is that with promotion, you can be the smallest guy in the whole show. You can be the newest guy in the whole show. But if your promotion is effective, you will be outshining people with booths 3 times the size of yours, or people that have done the show for 30 years. And it happens all the time. Some little person at the back, this little tiny booth, has a ton of traffic because they really did their homework. They really spent time nurturing their list, finding prospects, following up with those prospects before and after the show, having consistent look, and really putting in the time. You really get out of it what you put into it. So it shouldn't be a last minute scramble. It should be something you have as part of your overall exhibiting plan from the beginning. And it says here 41% hand delivered invitation. It doesn't have to be hand delivered, but a personalized invitation of some kind. We spend, countless hours, thousands of dollars marketing the show, as a show promoter, but it really does not compare to the artist issuing a personalized invitation. They would much rather hear from you than from us. We just send generalized information about how to register, what events are at the show, what the benefits are of attending. But when it comes from you, it's so much more intriguing, and they'll listen to it. Email blasts. I would hope everybody has something like Constant Contact or MailChimp or a similar service that they use. It's very important. It doesn't have to be very expensive again. And it's something you should play around with. If you're not comfortable with it, just you can spend an infinite number of hours perfecting one email that goes out. I do it every day, and I always say it's a big time suck, but but the more you do it, the better you get at it. You learn just with your response rates, and you'll notice how to refine your message for a specific list. If you have several sections of customers, types of customers, you may want to change the message specifically for them. So emailing is a really good way to test market certain things that you do to cater to the right audience. And of course, it's fun to see the numbers come back because you get immediate results or close to immediate results. Good email messages are clean. They don't have a lot going on with like distracting backgrounds, too many images, way too many font sizes and font colors, or it should be pretty simple. Because also, if you have too much going on, it's not only unattractive and distracting to the viewer, and they might just click out of it, but it also will sometimes block your messages from going through. And you want to make sure that your message is, your email is not throwing off any spam filters. To make sure it's delivered properly, you want to, most programs will allow you to send both the option of a text version and an HTML version, depending on the person's email client. They may have HTML turned off, in which case your message either doesn't go through, is put directly into spam, or is unreadable. So make sure you have a plain text version and that you've edited it specifically for that, because the one that it auto creates is sometimes not very clean. Use a PS. The PS is one of the most commonly read aspects or components of an email. Everybody goes right to it. They look maybe at the first couple sentences, and they go right to the end. So if you have a special promotion or something that is the call to action that you want them to do, whether it's sign up for a newsletter, make an appointment with you for the show, anything like that, put that in the PS. And then for spam, avoiding spam filters, you do want to be careful about what words you use in the subject line. It should be short so that it's not cut off, because there's only so many characters that they view in the email in their inbox. Avoid all caps and exclamation points, or certain words that, if you think of spam messages you get all the time, you'll know what words I'm talking about. You just want to avoid words like free or, you know. So, and many programs will also allow you to test a spam score. You'll get a score back that lets you know how close you are. So here is a bunch of social media. It can be, if you're not currently using this in your business, you should really start, but have a plan before you do. And it can be intimidating. There's a lot out there. You don't need all of it, but pick one or two that you are going to consistently nurture and update. If you start a Twitter account and then you don't use it for 6 months, it's not doing you any good. You want to build that audience. You want to be very active with it. And then it really pays off later, especially during the show, because everybody's got a smartphone these days. And so it's a great way to keep in touch with your buyers or potential buyers that are roaming around the floor. Social media is free in most cases, but there's a ton of it out there because it is free, and not everybody uses it smart. You, as I mentioned, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. That's really true. Um, it takes a lot of time. It's something it's like flossing your teeth. You don't really love to do it, but you just gotta make a habit out of it. It's gotta be part of your day. About 15 to 30 minutes of your day is the minimum of what you should be doing for social media. And I'll admit, I'm not the best at this either. I mean, I'm lucky if I get it 3 to 4 days out of the week, but you want to keep it as consistent as you can. Hootsuite is a free program that allows you to aggregate your various social media accounts into one place. You can see not only what is in your news feed, but what you've sent. You can also schedule posts to go out. This is a brilliant thing because it saves you time. For a show, if you want to spend, one afternoon or a day, a week out from the show, you can pre-schedule something to go out 3, 4 times a day, every day of the show. Just basic messages that are all purpose and will do the work for you while you're busy selling. And then, of course, as you have little updates with, oh, so nice to meet Tokyo Gallery, or first order of the day, really happy, things like you can throw in little updates interspersed throughout the scheduled ones. Pinterest is just the greatest thing ever. We have recently started Pinterest for the buyer's market, and Pinterest just introduced business pages. For a while, we were trying to use the individual user accounts, and it was a little awkward as a business. But now they have business accounts, and it's great. Um, it's free again, and there is a pin board that you see here just for new exhibitors. If you're not on here, it's not because we don't like you. It's because we either haven't had the chance to find an image of yours and put it on, or maybe you're not on Pinterest and we haven't repinned it. That's the easiest way for you to get on that board. But if you want to be on there and you're not, just shoot us an email, shoot your exhibit manager an email with 2 images, and we'll be happy to put you up there. There's also boards by medium. There's, I think, 26 boards and 700 or 800 images. I mean, we've done a ton of work with it in the past 3 months, and it's been fabulous, the payoff for it. We're a visual audience. We're a visual group. This is something that I think every artist needs to use.